Hi, Team Flyer. How are you? Happy Monday. I'm so happy and proud of just bringing you these Motivational Mondays with our very beautiful Cassandra. If you haven't heard her by now, hear her now, I guess, if that makes any sense. What I'm trying to say, she was with us for her Glow to Fly story on June 14th. It is out and about already and then some, because by now, every single Monday of this month, we've been talking up a whole lot of different quotes and ways for you to keep your life motivational. So without further ado, we have the lovely and beautiful Cassandra. Hi, Cassandra.
Hello, Ariadna. How are you today?
I'm doing really, really well. This is very energetic and in a good mood and just making my own day, basically. Just taking
Yeah,
control of my actions and
the
making sure.
weather is just really improving, and is keeping my spirits very high, actually.
That
Same
always
as
keeps
you.
my spirits very high.
Yeah.
I'm from Latin America. I need my sun. I'm like
Oh,
I need
don't we
this
all?
is
I'm not from Latin America, and I still need the sun.
sun. Just bask in it, please. My goodness. I'm just excited to always do these kind of things with you and just the kind of welcoming that we've received with everything that we've been doing since your story came out. It's just been very, very nice as well. So not only thank you for being here, let's start with the quote. What's the quote of the day?
Yes, so this quote actually I came up with last week, and it was while I was reading Amy Poehler's book, Yes, Please. And she has a quote in there that says, "The talking about the thing isn't the thing, the doing of the thing is the thing." And I felt like that was a really impactful statement, only because I think that there's so many people out there that have ideas and they have dreams and have so many things that they want to do. And sometimes you do just get really stuck in kind of the regular everyday life. So I wanted to have a space to reach out to everyone and say, all right, like, what were you thinking? What do you want to do? And when are you going to go do it?
I adore that. First of all, I do love my Amy Poehler. I love what she stands for. She's always big into like community and education, and she's just a really fun human being as well. So I do love the quote. It's more about, like I always say, practice what you preach. And it really does put that in perspective. Like, don't just walk the walk. I mean, don't just talk the talk, walk the walk. I mean, there's like a million of these, but yeah, definitely that. Um, I know for a fact I can give you a few examples of her quote, at least in my personal life. I've always tried to be very sincere in what I do, no matter what, if it's like online or offline, and just trying to be the best version of myself. And that can be various things. So, way back, like a few months ago, I wasn't feeling well, for example. And instead of forcing myself to post, and instead of forcing myself to like not only post, but also like write or work, I'm like, okay, so self care is the best kind of care. If I say that all the time, I also have to act on it as well. And that's one of the first things when you read that quote and you sent it over to me, I'm like, oh, this is what I thought of, because I actually took a break. And not only a few days, I actually took like 2-3 weeks of like bringing myself together, making sure I heal mind, body, soul, and making sure that I'm able to do what I need to do to get better, not just say it and then work 12 hours and not drink my water and not have my vitamins and then tell you about the story. And I'm like, no. If you met me, you really saw a couple months ago that I was sick and I stopped. And something as quote unquote simple as that, as my very first example. But what about you, my love?
Well, I mean, I can apply this quote to so many things in my life, but most recently, I did go on a gallant adventure as a female soloist, driving to South America. And I specifically can apply this there. I started coming up with that idea. I mean, I did not just get into my car and drive to South America, contrary to what all of my friends and family were thinking, because they were just getting the tail end of my idea. I actually started to plan and think and tell myself, this is the course of action. Like, this is what you're going to go do 2 years, almost 2 years before I actually did the thing. And I think that that merits a lot of thought because, you know, I try to practice every day. So I do believe in dreaming big, and I do believe in coming up with dreams that sometimes are far fetched. But I do also try to always be saying the things I'm going to do if I really 100% intend to do it. And don't get me wrong, there were definitely some moments of insecurity, of feelings of doubt, and what am I thinking? And am I going to get myself killed? Because there's a lot of people that really thought that. But I still knew deep down, my heart of hearts was telling me, you are going to go do this because you've already come to that conclusion and you already knew you were going to go do it before you started telling people you would. So, you know, I always try to practice what you preach. I always come up with crazy ideas, but I always try to follow through because I want to be known as a go-getter and the person who does follow through. And if I'm not dreaming big and telling the people I'm going to go do it and I go do it, then maybe I'm not living my truest self.
Oh, yes, 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 especially to your last sentence, your truest self. And that's what I was saying even with when I said your best self. It's not like you have to be perfect every single time, every single day. No, gosh, no. You just got to give your 100% in what you do and what you give out. I love that you're a go-getter. I'm definitely a go-getter as well, and I'm a goal-getter. That's what I always say. Goal-getter and a sparkle maker. I love the fact that you got on the trip. I know there's plenty of times that we need a conversation even further on that trip, of course. Um, but yeah, you actually reminded me of a little bit of the backstory of my business because a lot of people get the tail end as well, especially family and friends. They're like, "Oh my god, so you're gonna go without?" It's like when you say to someone you're gonna jump out of a plane, they think it's gonna be without a parachute. Sometimes I'm like, "No, don't worry. Like I got it covered. Like I know where. Like I got a parachute. I got my person. I got like everything prepared. It's not like I'm just gonna go take a leap and that's it." And when I was preparing not only the Always Believer, but one of my newest upcoming projects, the Latina company, in this particular case, we started with a podcast as well, Latina podcast. Everything came with a plan, and it was a plan that I've prepared for a long while. And the thing to like going back to Amy Poehler's quote was creating a community, or is creating a community in this particular case, a Latin community, to raise each other up 110%. So dreaming big and making sure that you know the right steps to make your dreams come true, no matter how big or small. Because like I said, my previous example was like, oh, make sure you rest. It sounds easy. It's not really easy if you really know us. Like we do not stay still very, very long. But
Ma'am, no ma'am.
no. But yeah, anything that goes from something, like self-care to starting a business, to starting a family, to moving continents. The amount of times someone has asked me, how do you move continents or how do you move countries so much? And I'm like, it comes natural because I just want to give myself the opportunity as well. If I want to say that, I want to travel the world and I want to embrace all the different cultures, then I'm going to make sure I go do it. And yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I absolutely agree with that statement 100% as well. And another thing is, I've learned a little bit about failures in the past year and over the past couple years. And one of the things that I do think is kind of what I see as one dimensional is, whenever I come up with a plan and I go do it and I fail, I think that's the end all be all. But I guess what people also don't realize is failures also lead to new opportunities. As in, like maybe you have this plan that you're going to go drive to South America for 6 months and you go do that thing. Well, maybe you met some of the coolest humans alive out on that trip and there's like a project that they're doing. So instead you end up staying down there and working with kids that are underprivileged, or there's just that did not happen on this trip. I'm just coming up with ideas to show you that, I looked at that trip as a start to finish. I'm going to get in my car on this day and I'm going to finish my trip on this day. And that did happen. But I also realized on that journey how stupid that is to look at it that way. Because if I want to go back in 5 years, in 1 year, in 20 years, then the trip is continuing. So I realized that I was setting these kind of like, this has to happen by this day, this has to happen by this day, and that's how it's going to be. Um, onto my journey, and that is actually not how it has to be at all. I could have stayed for 3 months alone in Panama, and actually I came back to a pandemic, so maybe I'm glad I didn't at this time. But I could see how being on the road became so, elusive, and it just brought into question, like, there was just so many possibilities, so many opportunities. And yeah, I came to face my failures, but I'm always going to be the one, in the arena. I'm going to be the one failing and failing and failing again, and coming up with new ideas and doing them, because if I don't, who will? Who's going to do it?
And then how are you going to live your life to the fullest? Of course, and living your best life. Um, for me, I do agree, of course. Like for me, failures are either lessons or blessings. And that's pretty much it. That's all you need to know about failures. It's okay to fail. I feel like if you win every single time, it's like you kind of just said the word elusive. It's kind of like real, but not really real, because that's not the way life works by any means. So there's going to be always more no's than yeses. It just makes the yeses a whole lot sweeter and the wins a whole lot bigger. And yeah, I mean, the amount of times that I failed, either, I don't know, I don't even know where to begin with this one. But I guess going back into the business, I mean, you don't learn knowing, even if you were a marketing major or a business major or whatever, like it's still the real world. You don't know how many factors. No one prepared you for COVID if you started a business, for example, or things like that, even if you studied marketing or business or whatever I was trying to say as well. Because actually, talking about again COVID, because it is 2020, where that's one of the buzzwords of the year, obviously. So I remember I was going to launch my course literally mid-March, and that's where it hit the biggest this year, or the area that I was living in the States, just in general, of course. And I had to postpone that. I paused it all. So when I thought that I already had, like, when I knew I had clients ready, I knew that I had like things already lined up. I'm like, okay, so let's do this mid-March. Let's hit it up. Let's put this all together. And all of a sudden COVID happened. So I didn't take that as a failure. I took it as like, okay, how can I repurpose this content? How can I do the next step? What do I need to do to make sure that I'm okay as well? Because it's a big hit with everything else that's happening. But in overall, I do agree with what you were saying with like learning from those not mistakes, even not only mistakes, but those failures, and just rise up from them.
Yeah, and one of the other things is I'm reading, last week's quote was from Admiral William H. McRaven. And he talks about, in his other book, it's called Sea Stories, My Life in Special Operations. He actually talks about, the SEAL training in a little bit more detail. He talks about it in his book, Make Your Bed, but he talks about it even more in, the Sea Stories book. And he definitely mentions, that under all of this extreme stress and the no sleeping and the no eat, getting very few calories, and the copious amounts of exercise, and the brutal physical workouts, and what you have to put your body and mind through, he could see that the people who kind of didn't make it the most were the people who couldn't break down the whole 3 months into a day by day, step by step kind of scenario. So I guess if you're going to practice what you preach, and if you're going to go do the thing, that can take a lot of preparation. You could have this amazing idea in your head. And some people, I mean, Elizabeth Gilbert, she's the author of Eat, Pray, Love, when she talks about in her book, Creativity or Big Magic, she talks about, even when she was into the good year of Eat, Pray, Love and it being so successful, she still had not yet quit her job, because, the thing is that writers sometimes quit their job prematurely because they want to give it all to the writing, but then they resent the writing for not providing the success. So it takes a lot of time sometimes to do the thing, but having a really good plan in place. And if it does mean that you have to sludge through, the job at McDonald's, the extra time at night spent working on the projects, it's not easy by any means, but I think your heart will be happier and your heart will lead you to a better life if you are able to find it in your heart to make that step and just put your whole soul and everything you're doing into being successful and like making it happen for yourself.
Exactly that. That's so much. It's like a mic drop right now, the whole knowledge that you just spoke upon us, basically, or to us, of course. Um, I agree. I feel like you have to take it one day at a time. I come from a place that I do have a little less patience for myself, not to others. I have all the patience in the world for other people usually, and that's perfectly fine. It's just like with myself, I know I'm super fast and I'm a go-getter, like we said before. So I want things done right now and I want to, do all the things. And what I've learned, not only through 2020, but just in general, that you have to have that patience and also that take the wins. I feel like that's a sentence that my husband repeats to me over and over again, take the wins. And what he means with this, apart from, literally taking the wins, is those small little steps that has got you to where you need to be and making sure that you celebrate those as well. Do I have a multi-million dollar business right now? No, not yet. Am I working myself there? Of course. You see me. I work every single day and I'm making my way there. So understanding that to be reasonable with the steps, like you were, like you spoke something as you started talking about the Admiral, which I really do appreciate so much, because even though through the I don't know how to explain this exactly very well right now, sadly, but I'm trying to say that even though not everyone thinks they're trained to be in the military or having that mindset, having a very focused, consistent, determined, and disciplined mindset is anyone's game. You don't have to be in the military or not. So I love that aspect what you were saying, because it's like, okay, yeah, I do not know what the military is, or I do what it is, but I've never been in the military, of course, and to undergo that amount of physical or mental, but I do understand what it's like to uh pay your way through college, having 3 jobs, getting very little sleep. I know what's like to start 2 businesses at the same time. I know what's like to be writing a book all at the same time, etc., etc., etc. I always bring the point, if you have kids, if you don't have kids, it's all the same, but people who do have kids, they have like that extra pressure of like, okay, being there, being aware, etc. So all in all, what we were saying is like that mindset of taking those steps. um my next question for both of us obviously would be, what can we tell our audience, or what can we advise our audience to help them do the thing they want to do?
Well, you said it the best without thinking that you were saying it the best, but I think you did say it the best, that anyone can develop these kind of skills and the focus and determination to take control of their lives and move forward. As far as, what the audience listening, like what kind of ideas you have and what you want to do, I mean, I can just give you examples of some of the things that I really focused on. Whenever I realized that I would go on a trip to South America, well, what did that entail? What would my security look like if I wasn't going to bring guns? Because obviously I was not bringing guns. What did I need to get? What did I want to have with me so that when I went to sleep at night, I felt safe and secure and I could get a good night's rest? These were all questions that I was taking into consideration. It was like, what could I make my van, what could I do to modify the van to make it easier to live in? If that was the main space of where I would be living for the next 6 months. And that resulted in a long list of things that I needed to do and what I needed to get. So that in turn led me to go online, find the things that I really wanted to get, like an awning for the van, the swinging doors that go on the back. And then I put alerts on everything. So that way, when there was a sale, I was getting them piece by piece. And I had about 7 months to do that. And I was able to get all those things at a much lower cost. So that way wasn't at the end, like trying to buy everything full price. So that is kind of like how I conceptualized what I was going to do. My dad's a mechanic, so he and I did all of the manual labor. So we had to come up with a plan of what we would work on every day, how we're going to fix this thing, how was I going to put one of the things that I took really seriously was a kill switch. And if you don't know what that is, it basically means that you put a separate line to the battery that has a switch attached to it. So when you're not moving the vehicle, you can actually flip the switch. So if someone breaks into your car and tries to steal it, they cannot start it, no matter what. And we decided we would install that switch inside of a safe. That was so hard. I mean, it required removing the fuel tank underneath, which I had just filled up with fuel because I didn't know that. And so we had like 15 gallons of fuel in a fuel tank that we had to lower from the vehicle but I guess that's at the medial level, that is how in depth you have to get to recognize and like move forward. Because did I want to be sleeping and worrying at all times if I went on a day trip whether my van was going to get stolen or not? No. And could it be still stolen? Yeah, but at least I got to, how do you mitigate all those fears and the security and all these things? Like, you have to ask yourself so many questions, and you have to start at the beginning, and you have to write down kind of lists of what you need to do to achieve these goals. Maybe you want to get financially sound. Okay, what extra money can you save every month? Maybe you want to finish your degree that while you're working full time and you have 2 kids. Well, that is a lot, and by God, good luck to you, and I admire you immensely. But the first step is, when are those classes going to be held? Are they going to be at night? Is there someone else that can help you? Do you have other people in your life that you would be able to go to and maybe they could watch the kids? Like, you have to figure out all the factors that could maybe get in the way of the goals until you find this way that is like gives you a positive mindset and allows you to achieve these goals without any factors that would impede it, essentially.
Exactly. I also adore what you're saying because believe me, you don't have to believe us or believe anyone, basically just yourself, in the sense of you're always going to find obstacles along the way. There's always going to be something. And that's where you see the real difference of people who actually are just talking the talk or walking the walk. People who actually are just talking about the thing or actually doing the thing. Because it's hard. It's hard when you say about the degree, when I was taking my degree and had 3 jobs, I have to wake up at 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. every single day. Talking about degrees and busy house moms, there's one in particular that follows, I've also featured, through the Always Believer. And she is a mom of 5 kids, but it's like a boy, girl, if I remember correctly, and triplets. And then she just went back to school to be a nurse.
Huge shout out. I mean,
unexpected blessings. Yeah. So you just reminded me off the top of my head. I'm like, because that's why I love the Always Believer community and like our movement Go to Fly, because there's so many incredible stories. And this is a nice plug so you guys can listen to also every single Wednesday with my new podcast or new podcast episodes. But point being was, she still makes time. She wakes up every single day at 4 a.m. and she makes time for herself and does these incredible things. Is she superhuman? No, she's a regular human being, which is absolutely fine because that's not what we really all are at the end of the day. She just structures her way in the best way possible to get her goal done because she really wants to be a nurse. Same goes for something in depth, like you were saying, or something for me, like with my business. Like, it's not easy just to post online. Better said, posting online is easy. Having a plan and intention and getting to the goals you want to acquire is the difficult part. So no matter how many times, life knocks you down, because it's going to be at least once a day, I can guarantee you that. If you really want to do it,
or
30, I know, at least one. Quite a few times. to get back up, because if you really believe in what you're doing and want to achieve whatever this goal is. Same goes for working out. I get plenty of people because I do a lot of mind, body, and soul wellness. And when it comes to body wellness, like, oh my God, like, how do I start? I'm like, first of all, just start. Start with reading 10 pages a day. Start with drinking 1 glass of water a day. Start with walking 10 minutes today and build up from there. Like she was saying, like Asandra was saying, build a plan, make a list, and that's going to help you, and build a calendar as well. I feel like those two things are just structurally there.
I have maintained a Spark Notes planner. I think it's called Ink Plus Volt now, and this is not a shout out to them, but we are not sponsored in any way. But it's also a goal. It's kind of like a planner goal, yearly, weekly, monthly kind of quotes that you write a little bit down based on the quote. And I will tell you, even on every day of my journey in South America, I kept that 100% up to date. I don't go anywhere without it. At the end of every week, I reflect on the really good things that happened to me in my life, because there's a section for that at the beginning of the week. And I really maintain that, like, when you have something in your life that you can use to manage what all's going on around you, the list that you need to take care of, it just feels really good to check those things off the list.
Yes.
And at the end of the year, you get to look back and see how many things that you were able to do in the year. And
I that's one of the best things in the world. What I can definitely say, because we're not sponsored by them or like Rachel Hollis, so she has something really similar.
oh, she does,
Not
yeah.
sponsored at all. What I do without having to buy those things, because I know I've had a lot of people come and ask me as well, because we have limited resources and whatnot. I'm like, just get a notebook. A notebook that's $1, that's €1, that's
Yeah,
whatever it is, the cheapest one you can find, the typical one that you've always had. Write the date on it and structure the way what you want to write, whether it be your goals, whether it be what you're thankful for. So what I do is I write 5 things I'm thankful for every single day from the day before, and I have to be really specific. Yes, health and food and shelter always, obviously, and my family and my friends always. I go like really specific, whether it's something that a joke my husband told me, playing with my little kitten, basically really specific things that make me realize how good I have it. And then it's a list of like 10 things that I either want to achieve. Well, it depends on the day, but either I want to achieve throughout the week, like you were saying, kind of like a journal or like a planning journal, or also affirmations of stuff that I do want to achieve, and I write it down like if I already have accomplished it. So
absolutely.
all that like really, really helps. So once again, my journal is pretty plain in the sense of it's not pretty. I mean, usually journals are, but you get the picture, and you take it with you wherever you go, basically. So if you're there talking to us or thinking, or can I speak right now? Of course not. It's me. If you're there listening to us, and saying, oh, I don't know, I don't have enough money, or $20 here or whatever. I'm like, no. Stop putting excuses, first of all. Take a notebook, take a piece of paper, take whatever resource you find in your house. I'm sure you definitely own a notebook / piece of paper / pen / pencil, something of the sort, because get those resources of like wherever you can find them as well. I feel like that's also a good way of talking the talk and doing the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, and you just reminded me, I believe if you just even went to Google and do images, you could, even if you didn't think that you could build it yourself, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of free options that you could just print out, or just use the notebook and then structure it in that way. And my sister and I, we shout out to Lanice. She lives in San Diego right now, but we talk all the time, and she got me to write a personal development plan, and we both have them, where she has hers all the way down to 1 week for each week. Mine is more of a yearly outlook, but it can be anything you want it to be. You can build your own personal development plan of the things you want to accomplish in the year and what date you want to accomplish certain things by, like if you're working on a certification. So there's just so many opportunities out there, and I really recommend that, because then it keeps you honest, because you have to
Exactly,
check
because
your
it
plan.
keeps you accountable as well. Love it. Um, Definitely all that. I really like, of course, there's a lot of free resources. So always take advantage of those, like I always say, without a doubt. And like you were saying, basically, it holds yourself accountable. You don't have to start at January 1st. It's not a New Year's resolution. You can start at June 8th for all I care. It doesn't really matter. Just start where we feel ready and start today, essentially. So now that we have to wrap things up, can you please remind us one more time that today's quote?
Yes, it is. The talking of the thing isn't the thing, the doing of the thing is the thing. And that is from the book Yes, Please by Amy Poehler.
Thank you once again for this beautiful conversation. Today was a little bit longer than the usual 20 something minutes because we had so much to say with this simple quote. It's not a long quote, but it's like we just were very passionate about it. Stay tuned for us next week. We're here and happy always every single Monday to give you a quote, to give you a happy Monday and happy week, essentially.
Yes. So, and also if you have a big plan that you wanted to execute and you haven't just jumped off the diving board yet, please post it here and get encouragement from other people in this community and kind of give us an idea of what you're planning and what you're going to do. And, if we just want to see what people are thinking out there and what you guys are working on. So please comment in the comments and we'll have a conversation there.
Definitely. All right. See you all very, very soon. And thank you very much for listening. Bye.